Hello, hello. I'm just getting ready to go live on Instagram. We're going to be talking about changing your self-concept immediately. I thought I had the live set up, but I clicked it and it took a photo of me. So let's go. There we go. All right, I'm super excited. This is part 2 of yesterday. All right, let's wait as we connect. Hello, Instagram. I was just saying to YouTube as I was getting you ready, this is part 2 of yesterday. So over the next 5 days, we're talking about the path to the next edge. And we are going through my Woman Mastery method, my methodology that I teach all of my clients that have taken 400 plus clients through. And Monday, we went through subconscious imprinting and reprogramming. If you have not, and it's on both of the feeds, both YouTube, both Instagram, if you have not watched, go make sure you watch the replays. Every single day flows into one another. Yesterday was a part 1 of this conversation. So it really makes sense for you to go and watch part 1 as well after this, because I shared one of my concepts, identity framework concepts, when you were trying to embody a different identity as you step into the next edge, and also your standards. And today I'm going to do a little bit of a riff and understanding, really inspired about my conversation I had with my masterminders last night around self-concept. I normally have a couple of notes, and I was going to do a couple of dot points in my notepad here, but I was like, you know what? I was thinking about the call last night on our mastermind, and my masterminders, the women in there, they just inspire the fuck out of me. They inspire the fuck out of me. They inspire me to be better. They inspire each other to be better. And this conversation you and I are going to have, this training you and I are going to have around self-concept, I think is really going to shift something internally for you that is going to reflect out externally. And that's the work, right? We want to have an internal shift so we can sustain an external shift. And I touched a little bit about this in day 1 on Monday, about what happens when you try to shift things externally and you haven't shifted the internal things. Like, it doesn't stick. Or maybe you've got into a place where you're like, I'm making change, I'm seeing different forms of success. And then all of a sudden you start to revert back to old self-sabotaging habits. So definitely, if that is you, I recommend go rewatching day 1. If you want the replays, come into my DMs and I will send you the links. But before we get into this training around self-concept, and all of you who are joining us live across Instagram, across YouTube, hello. If you're watching the replay, let me know in the comments. But if you were watching for part 2 of Visionary Focus, and today we're focusing on, our visionary focus is really about what's the vision that I have long term. I think too many people want to have quick wins, the instant gratification. I used to be one of those people, so I completely resonate where it feels really good to get a quick win. It feels really good to get the instant gratification, but then realize over long term that you're not really want the replay, please. Amazing. Do you want to slide into my DM so I do not forget? And after this, I will send you the link straight away. It was so good. And it will kind of like piece together what I'm speaking about today as well. And when we talk about self-concept and we go into this shift of who we are and who we want to be, we need to do both the internal and external, and that's related to day 1. But kind of lost my train of thought. Anyway, doesn't matter. Today, I really want to focus on what it looks like to have, I wrote something great on Threads last night. I'm going to start with that. But before I do, the offer for today and yesterday is you get a 3 training module for $55 all around identity and self-concept. And it's the trainings that I normally only give my masterminders and my one-on-one. So this is like a steal. You get 3. It's only from yesterday and for today. At the end of the day, $55 if you want that. Just let me know here. I can take a screenshot, slide into my DMs. You get 3 trainings all around identity. Yesterday in part 1, I taught part of my identity framework. That is probably my most favorite framework and what my clients love. My therapy friends, my friends who are therapists, they actually use this framework that I created for their clients as well. So it's fucking powerful. So if you want the 3 training modules around identity, self-concept, it's only $55 until the end of the day. It will go perfectly with these trainings. Now, let's get into it. Self-concept. What is self-concept? What is the way that you perceive yourself? What is the way that you see yourself? Who is the person that you want to be? Who is the person that you want to become? When you have this visionary focus, when you have a visionary lens, when you're trying to perceive yourself, perceive yourself in the future, what do you see? What are you connecting to? A big thing I always say to my clients, and I will say this till I'm blue in the face, I've said this every single training in the past 2 days, what is your version of success? If you can't tell me in 2 sentences, then there's a disconnection. You can have a vision board. You can say, I want money, or I want to land a property with a farm and puppies and kids, or I want to be able to take my kids on holiday whenever. But you need to have a crystal clear vision of your success. And this feeds into your self-concept, because everything around your self-concept will dictate the way that you move and behave in life. And this is really what I want you to start to think about today, is like, what is your dedication to your self-concept? What is your dedication to the way that you perceive yourself? Most people say they want to do better. Most people will listen to trainings such as this. They will listen to podcasts. They will save informative reels or TikToks, but they won't actually do anything to change and shift their self-concept. And I want you to start to jot down, whether you're doing it now in this live or whether you go away and do this, and start, like, literally ask yourself the question, write this in your journal. How do I perceive myself? And it's not what your ego wants to tell you. It's how do you actually, when you wake up in the morning, what are your first thoughts? When you look at yourself in the mirror, what are you thinking? When you're in a group setting, or maybe you own a business and you're going live like this, or you're posting a piece of content, or you're filming content, what are you thinking about yourself? What are you feeling about yourself? Most people know that, okay, yeah, like I kind of love myself, or I kind of feel worthy, or I don't feel worthy when it comes to this, but I feel worthy here. But a lot of people actually don't dive deep. And this is one of the incredible things that I did in my mastermind last night. Is one of the women in my mastermind, she's struggling to show up for her online business. She's seen some form of success. She is booked out until 2025, but she's at this bottleneck where she feels like she can't move forward, or it's every time she wants to, it's like she has all these ideas, but she doesn't know how to execute. That is part of her self-concept. That is part of the way she sees herself. And the belief system in that, and that's what we touched on in day 1, the belief system in that is quite literally telling herself to perceive herself as someone who can't move forward, as someone that can't do this, or someone who is not worthy of success, or someone who is not worthy of loving themselves. And so we actually went through a process of actually understanding where that came from and how it now shows in her adult life. A lot of people believe, and this is the work I do with my clients, a lot of people believe that they pick up things only from their parents and their primary caregivers. Yes, majority of the things, of course, we pick up from birth, we pick up from parents and primary caregivers. But what is actually making you and your decisions now as an adult, and your difference between reactive versus responsive? If we're reactive, it's exactly as it sounds. Everything that's happening, we're not even thinking. We're just doing things as we always have done. That's reactive behavior. That's a reactive self-concept. We're just doing things in the way that we always have done, and we don't think about it. Afterwards, we may think, I wish I didn't react like that, or I wish I didn't speak to myself like that, or I wish that today I actually held myself accountable and got through my to-do list instead of having a dip in the afternoon and just thinking, fuck it, I'll do it tomorrow. And then we continue those cycles. That is reactive behavior. That is a reactive self-concept. Responsive self-concept is actually when something happens to you externally, it's whether it's within a relationship, romantic, platonic, family, it doesn't matter. Whether it is an experience in your business, whether it's an experience when you're out in the world getting a coffee, you actually are very aware of what is happening in your body, so somatically. And the third phase of my Woman Mastery methodology is what we're going to go into tomorrow and Friday. So I'm not going to go too deeply into the somatic stuff, but what is happening somatically, and then what comes out in the 3D reality. Why a lot of people think self-concept is, let's listen to some subliminals, let's read self-help quotes, or let's watch something motivational. Do you ever wonder why sometimes that you have this great grand vision, this legacy you want to create, and you know you are meant for more. You know you've seen some success in your money, in your business, in your relationships, but then you wonder why it feels like you're not moving forward. It's rooted in your self-concept. And so when we are responsive, we actually have a choice. We actually are dedicated to choosing the way we want to become and who we want to be. People who don't work on their self-concept, people who keep going on and on the same as they are every single day. Joe Dispenza says this: we are just every single day waking up and we are just acting in accordance to our past behaviors. And I'm going to link this back to what I worked on with my client in a second, going on a bit of a side tangent. But we are always acting in accordance to what has happened the day before, the month before, the year before, and a decade before. Do you get what I'm saying? Is like, and let me know in the chat if you're kind of following, if you have any questions, pressing the heart button, because this is important. This is so important. People think that doing their belief system, writing down their beliefs, or listening to a subliminal is all you need. It isn't. It's the way that you're perceiving yourself. It's the way that you're seeing yourself. I can see you guys there, and over here on YouTube as well. It's the way that you're seeing yourself. And so what I said to my client last night is, no, it's not about, oh, I'm scared to post this piece of content for my business, which, like I said, she's already successful. She's booked out until 2025. So this is for my women. You're seeing success, but you're at this bottleneck. And this is what this challenge is, the path to the next edge. How can you actually get from this level to the next edge? And I said, where is just get down in your body for a moment. Most people don't realize that self-concept work is body work as well. Get down in your body. Where is something that it takes you back to a moment where you felt like you couldn't do something? And she took us back to a memory, and she's like, I don't know where that came from. That just popped into my head of a memory that actually created the belief that if she does something, she's afraid to make a mistake. And yes, there are many more, and I have a process called the emotional matrix where we kind of do this. But basically what that shows is she picked up at 7 years old. If I do this, it makes me cry, it makes me upset, it makes me anxious. I can't make a mistake. And her body has held on to that. She's now 24 years old. At 24, it's not that she's actually picked up the belief that she's scared of what people are going to say online. It's actually takes her back to that memory of, what if I make a mistake and I get told off, or it's not good enough? And see how that direct correlation is feeding into her self-concept, the way she perceives herself. She perceives herself as, I can't go any further. I hate this meta update. I can't go any further because what if I do make a mistake and I feel what I did when I was 7? Isn't it crazy what the body holds on to? And so more of the somatic stuff and expanding your capacity will go over in day 4 and 5, tomorrow and Friday. But bringing this into the self-concept work, what do we do? Number 1, how do I perceive myself? How do I see myself in every thought? The best way to do this is actually do an audit over a couple of days. Have your phone notes, because you always have your phone notes, and just write in everything. What happens if you see, like, how do you react in traffic? If something isn't working on your laptop, how are you reacting, or are you responding? When you're getting up in the morning, what are your first thoughts? Are they lean towards the negative or the positive? That's our first thing. So take a couple of days, have an audit of yourself and your self-perceptions and how you are responding versus reacting. And then start to ask yourself, how am I building? How am I building the way that I'm seeing myself? And this is part of the work of stepping into the power that you have, your personal power. This is really what I call self-concept work, is personal power work. It's a dedication to choose differently. It's a dedication to be committed to the process of choosing differently. You can't, I see this average of women, they choose differently, and by the 3-week mark, the 21 day, between 19 and 25 days, what I see is they waver. They waver in their self-trust. They waver in their self-leadership. They waver in what they believe about themselves. They revert back. And then it feels like we're climbing this hill, this mountain that never ends. We never see the summit because we keep reverting back. It never, ever ends. And this is why you may be at a place right now, you're at this bottleneck, you're at the brink of a transformation, but it's like, why am I getting there? Why aren't I seeing the results? Like, it doesn't make sense why I'm not seeing the results. It's because of this. Every time you start to see yourself differently, you shrink. You revert back to reacting versus responding. You revert back to how you have always known how to act. A self-concept means you quite literally burn down everything you know about yourself, and you make a choice in that every single day. You make a choice in that every single day to do differently in your behaviors, in your responses, in your motives, and you learn about yourself. You learn about yourself. People want the superficial things, like here's a meditation, or do this yoga practice, or listen to this podcast, right? Those are great things. And I'm not by all means saying they're wrong. I do those things, right? I listen to podcasts, I listen to Audible books every day. I do meditations every day. I practice yoga or Pilates every single day. So I'm by all means not saying don't do them, but that's one level, right? A lot about what I've been speaking about with my clients is like 10xing your view right now. So if you right now is like, all right, my self-concept, if I was to change that and to get better, I would be adopting yoga practice 3 times a week. What's a 10x at? I'm going to adopt for 30 days a yoga practice for 30 days in a row every single day. And I'm going to show up to the mat and do that and connect with myself, like whatever it is. That, see how like that takes it to the next level. People want to get great, big mastery results. You know, my methodology is woman mastery, these great big results by doing the 2x thing, by doing the bare minimum. I often have women come with me and I go into their businesses, or I go into their lifestyle, and I say, okay, so you've been doing this. What's the next level you've been doing? Nothing. This is what I've been doing. Okay, so you want to make X amount, or you want to achieve X amount, or do this achievement, but you've been sitting here. We're not here to sit here. We're not here to do the average work. We're here to live an above average life. We're here to bring in high cash months. We're here to have a CEO mindset. We're here to live a luxe lifestyle, a wealthy lifestyle. And I said this yesterday, wealthy doesn't mean it doesn't need to mean lots of money or, you know, business class flights. If that means every single weekend you can go out to dinner with your partner at whatever restaurant you want, or it means that you can retire your parents, that's up to you. But that's the way you need to see yourself. What is the dedication? Now, I just want to do a little bit. I've done a bit of strategy, but I want to speak on the energetics that I shared with my clients last night. Energetically, we all know, and if you've been doing this work for a while, you know, whatever you can see and feel into, it's a timeline somewhere on the quantum field. There is something vibrating that shows you that it is possible for you, right? That's been proven scientifically. People have won a Nobel Prize for that. So that's not to say, oh, the airy fairy quantum field. No, like you can go Google it. Like that has been proven, right? So we know that for fact. On the quantum field, the way our atoms vibrate, the way frequencies work, manifestation, attracting things, law of assumption, law of attraction, law of duality, law of vibration, it's scientifically proven, number one, right? But with that vision of yourself, just know it's already happened. But to get into alignment, you know, and there's lots out there, like get into alignment of your highest timeline to quantum leap. Okay, what the fuck does that mean? You know, when there's so many people out there that are saying that, do you know what that means? That means your self-concept. That means your identity work. It means doing what I said in part 1 yesterday of the identity framework, which, by the way, the framework in yesterday, I actually give the training in the bundle that's available for the next 2 days in that of what I give my mastermind. So that's actually something you learn in full. But it's actually seeing yourself differently. You can't wake up and want $1 million business and see yourself as someone who lives paycheck to paycheck, or see yourself as someone who is bringing in 5K, 10K, 20, 30K months. You can't see yourself attracting a high value relationship, but you see yourself as someone who is needy or above men or above women, whoever you date. You can't see yourself as that. You know, I'll share something on relationship about a self-concept. Before I met my current partner, I took 1.5 years of doing a lot of self-concept work around relationships, how I saw myself. And I had the attitude like, fuck man, I don't need a man, like whatever. However, in the same breath, I was like, you know, I want to bring in a relationship. And I was going on dates, was seeing people, and I was like, why am I attracting these men that just like aren't fitting it? But I want someone, you know, I'm ready now. I'm at this part of my life where I'm ready to attract a man. but I'd still have this attitude because I saw myself as I'm better. I saw myself on the pedestal. I saw myself like they're below. No, I had to see myself as a high value woman that was able to attract a high value man. I had to see myself as someone that could feel safe enough to fall into a feminine when a masculine man steps up to the plate, steps up to lead. The perception needed to change. If you are looking around your life and you're looking and saying, well, why aren't I getting that relationship? Or why isn't my bank account looking the way I want to? Why isn't my business getting the clients it is? Going back to the quantum field and the timeline, you quite literally, the alignment piece is seeing yourself every single day. And anytime you veer out of that, anytime you're about to start a Instagram story and you want 100K months because we're 10xing our view, you want 100K months, are you standing up and are you, just before you do your story, are you going, oh my God, like it's so hard to make money, like fuck the algorithm, no one's gonna see this live? Or you standing up and being like, I'm making $100,000 movement, I'm doing this, I'm standing up and I'm sharing my voice because this is who I am. And each day, the 1% of messy inspired action, if you don't already listen to my podcast, the Jessica Pinili podcast, because I've been speaking about the 1% of messy inspired action since like 2018 when I released the podcast, which podcast is about to, in a couple of episodes, release its 300th episode. Insane, right? And that's another self-concept. I saw myself as someone who had a globally known podcast. I was looking, I barely check my statistics. Thank you so much. I barely checked my statistics, but the other day I was uploading an episode and it said people in the Caribbean, people in Africa, people in KL and Singapore and Mexico were listening to my podcast. Do you think if I showed up, if every single episode recorded, like, okay, I'm just going to say this and like, no one's going to listen and I'm just like going to keep small, and no, I'm like, I have a global podcast. I've got something to say. I've got something to share. It's yourself. It's the way you see yourself. People dictate the way they see themselves depending on what other people think. You have to cut that loose. You have to cut loose of what people are going to say about yourself. And the people, I think I shared something on TikTok yesterday. The level at which someone criticizes you and judges you is at the level that they are currently at. Right? And do you know where that came from? One of my friends, I would say more an acquaintance, said something about, oh, I'm gonna make a vlog like Jess does every time she goes somewhere. You know, a bit of jest there, a bit of criticism, a bit of judgment there. And do you know what I felt inside? Nothing. Neutrality. It's okay. That's not my level. I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna create. I'm here to create a multi-million-dollar movement to share. You know, my mission statement has been connect with as many women around the world to help them connect with themselves. That's been my mission statement since the end of 2018. And that's what I'm here to do. Do you think that mission statement falls into, if I listen to that person, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't vlog when I go somewhere. Like I just got back from Africa, a safari. Imagine if I was like, yeah, I'm not going to share that and I'm going to keep small because I'm going to dictate everything I do in the perceptions of other people. No, fuck that. Fuck that. My self-concept is higher than that. I spoke about standards yesterday. What are the standards that you are dedicating yourself to? So every day when you wake up and you look at yourself in the mirror, what are you saying to yourself? What are you doing? This comes from someone that literally before I started my business, I was an anxious wreck. I hated my job. I'd complain about the economy and money. I'd complain about my situationship. I'd feel disconnected in my relationships. On paper, my life looked really good. It did. But I would wake up every day complaining about the same shit, not seeing myself differently, even though in my head, I'm like, I know I'm made for something great in life. I know I'm made for something great. I know I'm meant to create a movement and be known. And again, that's my version of success. It doesn't need to resonate with you, right? But what do you want to create of your life? I do long-term legacy building with all of my clients, long-term legacy building. I do that because we're here to create a legacy. We're here to make it happen. The people that wake up every single day and complain about the same shit and blame the algorithm and the economy and the government and their friends and their parents for the position they're in, they're the people that are going to stay like that every single day and attract the same thing every single day. You can blame anyone you want, anything you want, but it's only going to do you a disservice. And it's only you're building your self concept in the realms of those complaints. You're not building your self concept in the realms of someone that can achieve the most, that can do the most. And so from this video forward, I want you to live with the intention of how am I building myself? If I do something or I betray my own needs, self-concept is really about self-trust. If you don't have self-trust, then you can't back yourself. If you can't back yourself, then really what good is that? What good is that? What good is that if you can't back yourself, if you don't trust yourself? You will never achieve anything. And so working, and I said this to my masterminders last night, I'm giving you so many different drops of what I shared with my clients last night. Part of this work really at the end of the day is looking at your self-trust and your self-worth. I think a lot of people want to look for these fancy terms and fancy lingo and fancy ways of doing things. No, it's your self-trust and your self-worth. And that feeds deeply into your self-concept. And like I said, in day one, when I did phase 1 of the WoMastery methodology, mastering yourself of the woman is your ability to be able to reprogram your belief system, your subconscious beliefs. But that means nothing unless you are walking into the identity and viewing yourself in the perception of someone with those beliefs. You can do all the belief work you want, but if you're not acting in that, if you're not responding in response to those beliefs, the 2 and 2 can't go together. And like I said, tomorrow and Friday, we're going to go into the last phase of Woman Mastery, which is all about expanding your capacity. What happens when we feel like we can't sustain it? What happens when it feels like I'm getting to the edge and I feel like, I'm too scared. I'm going to shrink. I'm going to make myself smaller. We'll speak about that tomorrow and Friday. But for now, I really want you with day 1 and day 2, bridge this in. This is a beautiful end to the second part of identity work and your visionary focus. What is your visionary focus? Is it actually what you want to bring it? Is it actually who you want to be? What's your self-concept? The only important thing that you should be worrying about is the way you perceive yourself, not how other people perceive yourself, because that's a prison. The more you care about how other people perceive yourself, the more you keep yourself stuck in a prison. It's like these 4 walls and it feels like you can't get out of it. Take yourself out of that. Jump over those 4 walls and perceive yourself differently. It really is a choice. Like I said, this comes, and I say this with so much love because I was there when I didn't perceive myself differently. I was there in the victim mentality. I was there when I felt like, okay, there's, the government sucks, or I can't do this. Oh my God, I'm so, so happy that you're all enjoying this. This means so much. I hope you've gotten so much for this. And like I said at the start of this, if you missed it, and everyone on YouTube, if you have missed day 1 and day 2, please slide into my DMs because I will absolutely send you the replays. And if you want, because this is part 2, if you want to learn more, definitely get your hands on the $55 bundle. You get 3 identity masterclasses. You're going to want it. It's juicy. It's, the type of coach and mentor I am, I have invested a lot in myself. And there's been some really great investments, and there's been investments. I don't think there's such thing as a bad investment. You just learn from it, right? And, a lot of the time I've invested, I'm not speaking mentorship one-on-one, I'm speaking masterclasses, a one-off workshop, whatever. And I leave it. And at the end of it, I'm like, so what am I doing? What's the action? I don't know about you, but I'm like an action girl. I'm like, in this train, give me something to work on. Give me something I can conceptualize and work on. Don't just like talk to me about, regurgitating Abraham Hicks, which has happened to me in something. And so I guarantee the workshops in the bundle and the $55 identity shifting bundle, they're all packed with what you can actually do. It's not just going to make you get a dopamine hit and that's it. It's going to teach you what you can do. So I highly recommend, if you love this, get that bundle. Just send me a DM. Let me know. But your self-concept, I cannot express how important it is for you to work on how you perceive yourself. Like you can't, the women that I work with, they come with me, and a lot of the work we do, the subconscious identity work, whether they're a business owner, whether there's someone, one of my clients, she came to me with the goal she wants to make in the next year, and I 10x'd it. She said a number like, oh, I want to make 200K within the next year in her online business. And I said, why can't we double that? Why can't you perceive yourself as that? Why can't we do this subconscious identity work around that? And you know what she said to me? She said, because it scares me. Like, can I? And I was like, yeah, but can you see yourself getting there? And she's like, absolutely. Okay, let's do it. And that's the way I expand. I said something on my story last night, 1 hour on a call with me. And by the way, there was a special on Monday. If you're watching this and you love this, where you get a 60-minute call with me to do work like this, plus you get my CEO Goals workshop. It's all in my broadcast channel. You can DM me. It's $150. Again, it's a steal. In this training, I'm giving things away at a steal because I'm like, every high achieving woman needs to learn this. But I said 1 hour call with me is like a week with another coach. And I can truly, truly say that because it's how are we executing? What's the embodiment? And so we're working towards that. We're working towards double that, multi 6 figures in the next year. I've had clients come to me and, they have worked on their business, but a bigger part of them wanted to work on their relationship side. 2 clients in the last year have attracted a high value man that they have both had a baby to. And they're living in this reality, this self-perception where they never thought, oh, I didn't think it was going to be possible. Thought I would just be career and business focused. Everything gets to changes because you get a choice. Everything changes because you get to dedicate yourself. Everything changes because when you have a commitment to changing, things shift. Energetically, things shift. But I teach you to lean right in. And that's what I want you to do right now. I want you to lean in. Everything is like, get really, the next time that you have these ideas and you're like, oh, I'm getting overwhelmed. I saw a thread today. I think I'm going to make a video about it. And she was saying, every time I have a journal full of ideas and every time I go to execute, I get really tired or I get super overwhelmed or I start scrolling on my phone or, I lay down or I meditate. You know what that is? That's bypassing. That's spiritually bypassing. I get you to know yourself so well so you know when am I spiritually bypassing versus when I actually need to sit down and meditate or I need to go do something else or I need to go get some vitamin D. Most people will sit and journal. I've learned this. I've been doing this for 5 years now. I've been working for women close though to nearly a decade. Most people will journal or they'll meditate or they'll, just be like, I just need a break. Been working for an hour. And they do that and they spiritually bypass. And you know what happens when you spiritually bypass? You're forever climbing that mountain. You never see the summit. You're forever about to get progress. And then all of a sudden, oh, I'm overwhelmed. Maybe I should meditate. And we lose the momentum. Back and forth, the polarity, push and pull, push and pull. I spoke about this yesterday. Make sure you watch yesterday. But then when you get to know yourself really well, when you trust yourself, when you can lead yourself, when you can step into your own personal power, you know the difference between I'm being fucking lazy and I need to actually lean into this versus actually I'm not in my body right now. I'm not in my head right now. I need to stop what I'm doing. And I have the discipline to do this and come back to what I'm doing. I was doing a lot of audits for my clients, my business focused clients on Monday. And one of them said yesterday, she's like, yeah, I saw that piece of feedback at the end and you're a savage, but I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'm a savage with so much love, And she said that. She was like, I needed that kick, the kick in the butt. You're a savage, but I needed that. I don't sugarcoat things and I'm not sugarcoating things now. And if you're feeling like triggered, look in you. Is it triggered because you actually don't like what I'm saying and we don't have the same values? You don't want to create a legacy for your life? You don't want to live a life above average? Or am I triggering you because you're like, fuck, It's now, what are we, August 21st. I need to move. Coming from someone where for years, I would repeat. I'd get to the end of the year, I'm like, next year, new year, new me, new goals, I'm going to do it. And then I'd get to July and I'm like, okay, same cycle, try harder. You burn out. We're not here to burn out. We're here to be disciplined. We're here to be focused. We're here to create something great. As we're coming towards the end of this, when you dedicate and commit yourself, let me tell you something. Over the past 5 years, I've dedicated and commit myself. Have I made mistakes? Have I failed along the way? Yeah. I always say fail fast, fail quickly. You'll learn better. You get more feedback. But I was speaking to this with one of my best girlfriends the other day. I'm in the process of making a reel that requires me to go through my Google photos over the past 5 years, right? It's a bit of a process, but stay tuned for that reel. It's going to be good. And I was sent a picture to my girlfriend and I was like, oh my God, us 4 years ago. Like you look at this picture of us and it's just like, that quite literally feels like another lifetime. Like it wasn't in this lifetime. And the reflection is one thing I can say. I've got hair in my mouth. One thing I can say is I dedicated myself. I dedicated myself and I committed to myself concept to uproot my belief system, to expand myself. I cannot believe the life I've lived in the past 5 years. I cannot believe it. I started a business from scratch. And if you guys don't know my story, it's one of my pinned posts. Go watch it. But I quit my job in 2019. I moved to Bali and I started a business from scratch. I had $700 in my savings. That $700 went to the first payment on the villa for the first month. I think the villa was $680. I had to make it work. I had to move. I started a business from scratch. I've now, 3 years ago, attracted a high value relationship, the type of relationship that I thought I was ready for when I was 25. For context, I'm 31 now. When I was 24, 25, no, I had to commit. I had to dedicate to doing my self-concept and belief work around that, around a business. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you know what? I'm proud of you for showing up and dedicating your time to this. It's a testament to the women that watch that and watch this and dedicate their time to actually like taking in and observing. I'm proud of all of you. And I say this to my clients is it a scary thing to invest your time, your energy and money? Fuck yeah, it is. But it's the difference between someone who wishes and has that nice, pretty vision board and the people who are like, fuck yeah, look at me go. I've created all of this. I made a vision board in 2019. I ticked off my last thing this year. I'm about long-term vision and legacy. Like I said at the start of this, I'm not here for like, let's have these quick wins, these quick, easy goals. No, I push my clients to the part where they're like, fuck, that's exciting, but that's scary. Let's do it. Let's go all in. And I ticked off from my 2019. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I ticked off my last bit, which was do a safari in Africa. Take a month off work, do a safari in Africa. When I put that on my vision board in 2019, I had no idea how that was going to happen because I just quit my job, started a business. I was in a different country. I had to make new friends. I knew no one. I had no idea. But you know what? I was dedicated. 1% of Messy Inspired Action. I was dedicated and committed. That's going to work. And then in July, July, start of August, just gone. Spent 3.5 weeks in Africa with my partner on a safari. I took off those weeks from work. And I looked back and I was like, the past 5 years, as I was saying and sharing with my friend, like, holy shit, things have changed. Have things, just to be on equilibrium and neutrality, have things failed? Yes. I tell my clients over and over again, I have failed so much more than I've succeeded over the past 5 years. But the difference is this work. I love all of you. I appreciate all of you. You've shown up. You're dedicated. Like I said, definitely slide into my DMs. You want that identity shifting bundle. $55. It's available only until the end of today. You want to get that call with me and the CEO Goals Workshop, slide into my DMs. Tell me. That's available. Again, until it was expired Monday, but if you've shown up here, you're dedicated to this, you want to change, you want some mentorship, I'm happy to honor that for you. Tell me that you watch this replay, whether you're on YouTube or Instagram, and let's make some magic. Let's keep going when the rest of the world slows down. Let's keep going when the rest of the world thinks it's too hard. Let's keep going. And stay tuned for tomorrow, day 4 and day 5, Friday, for the parts of the next edge. We're going to be going into the last phase of woman mastery, which is regulating yourself to a brand new capacity. How do you actually feel safe? I appreciate every single one of you. I know I'll see some of you in those bundles, and I can't wait for tomorrow. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.